Hello, traders. It's 8:02 a.m. Chicago time on Friday. Happy Friday, everybody. It is the 30th of October, the last Friday of October 2020. Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss. It is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. This is episode number 1869. Some interesting events overnight. We had the overall posture of the market is that of risk off. Currently, the laggard again is crude oil. Crude oil is off 36 cents, trading at 35.81, nearing recent swing lows. The Nasdaq's the weakest, down 104 points or 0.92%. The Dow's off 235 points or 0.88. The S&P's off 25 points or 0.76, and the Russell's off 11 points or 0.71. The leader today is gold. Gold is popping $20.30. The election is really what's up front. Of course, Apple, Google, Amazon, and others announced yesterday after the close, pretty volatile after the close yesterday. We had a big drop overnight in the European markets, and so in the U.S. indices, and sympathy as well. U.S. stock index futures fell after disappointing updates from major technology companies, including Apple, added to investors' concerns over the surge in coronavirus cases. European shares were mixed, while Asian shares ended in negative territory. The dollar index was little changed ahead of the U.S. election next week. Gold gained due to its safe haven appeal. Oil prices edged up in volatile trading, but they have given some of that back. And we're expecting a couple things today. Both presidential candidates are flying across the country in a last-minute ditch effort to garner votes from those who are undecided. As many of you probably have heard from the prior Trader Bites, I am doing a live webcast on Tuesday. We'll be on for 4 hours at least, I would say, from about 8 p.m. to 12 a.m. Eastern. The join link is shown here. It's at the top of the screen, but also I'm popping it into the chat box, and it'll go on my Twitter here in a bit, ft71.com/2020 election. We have about 8 or 9 confirmed guests, various traders, market or trading psychologists, and others, including a clearing firm, to come in and kind of give us an idea of what's going on their end during volatile or risk event, such a big risk event such as an election. So I'm very excited about this event. It is not really a formal thing. There won't be slides or anything. This is just like an impromptu webinar that I like, the ones I used to do in 2008 through 2012. And we'll just be talking markets live while watching the election results roll in. So hopefully you can attend. If you want, you can go register, ft71.com/2020 election. You have to provide a valid email in order for the webinar link to be sent to you. So we've gone over what the overall market sentiment is. It's leaning towards safety, although we had a V bottom this evening, so you got to take that into context. In terms of what's left on the calendar today, we got quite a few numbers out of Europe, GDP out of Germany and the Eurozone, personal income and personal spending out of the U.S. both beat pretty well, and we get Chicago PMI at 942 to private subscribers, and 945 to the rest of us minions. And then we get Michigan Sentiment Final, which is not as impactful as Michigan Sentiment Prelim. That's at 10 o'clock, and that pretty much wraps up the day. This evening, China gets its MBS Manufacturing PMI at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. So that's that. Again, don't forget that we're doing this election event. I'd love to have you attend. I expect there are only 1,000 slots And once the 1,000th slot is filled, it'll start rejecting folks. So get in, get in there, get early, and register now. Here's what was expected yesterday. I know this looks like a bit of a mess with all these numbers, but the primary expectation is that the market is likely to squeeze up and either consolidate, which is scenario one, squeeze up, consolidate at the prior point of control, and then push higher, push towards the 3,300, and then hold sideways, or squeeze up and fail to hold and then start to move towards 3,450 below. Here's the thing. Yesterday was kind of a both type of scenario. Really a market that is pretty actively seeking value here still. And what we had is an open auction in range that broke below the prior day's low and came right back, held the mid from above, and then squeezed into the prior day's point of control. This is where it's either going to consolidate. The expectation is it'll consolidate in this area and continue higher. That would be scenario one. Or it'll consolidate and fall right off and then start moving towards 3,450, right? So 3,450, that would be scenario two. So you can see here, scenario one worked out pretty well. Right here, move up to the prior point of control, right there, consolidate and squeeze higher into the 3,300. That was done very nicely right here. This is as much as I would have expected out of this market. But instead, it kind of pulled back, and we had this exceptional move higher, really large move higher from 32.85 to 33.75, almost 50 points without a single 4-point rotation. I'm going to say that again. Almost 50 points, 50 points without a single 4-point rotation, which is how my zigzag indicator operates. As long as there's not a 4-point or better counter rotation, it does not reset. And so it kept accumulating and accumulating and accumulating. The range for the swing, just really an exceptional move higher. I was not able to identify anything on this move except that Biden was gaining ground in Florida. That's about what came out around that time. I wasn't sure. I was in a study hall that I was hosting for Convergent Trading, so I wasn't paying attention and looked up and saw that we had ripped up. We came right back to the developing point of control. We came back to the crowded cluster. To that crowded cluster and finished right on top of the developing point of control, right on top of mid, right on top of VWAP, and what ended up being a relatively balanced session. You don't see a 50-point move that gets taken back quickly without news usually, and that's what I suspected, that this is an SOC or a scene of the crime type of move that would take us back to where it took off from, which is basically this consolidation here near the 3,300. Just exceptional action there. Pretty good delta with the move. Delta remained positive throughout the session, so delta and price went well. However, on the close, we had the earnings coming in, and of course these are exceptional earnings for this session, and we saw some additional volatility right after the cash close. So it's let me see. I'm trying to clear this. Oh, these websites are so slow. So there was an earnings surprise. Just to kind of go over what had happened. Apple was pretty much in line, 73 cents versus 70 cents. Had a surprise of about 4.29%. The surprise on revenue is 1.57. Amazon had a surprise of 67%. Amazon came in at 12.37 versus 7.14 expected. $7.41 came in at $12.37. Just incredible. Of course, a lot of that's helped out by the pandemic. And then, revenue was in line. The revenue came in at 96 versus 92 billion. So high margins there. Twitter also beat. Twitter's not so big. Facebook came in at $2.40 versus 191, about a 25% surprise. And Google came in at $16.40 versus $11.29, which was a large surprise, about 46%. The market did drop off quite a bit though, and continue to fall. Here's the overall volume is similar to yesterday in the overnight and the extended trading hours, 388,000 versus about 190,000, quite large. And you can see that it held a nice little triangle here and broke down exceptionally in what was a large move, 76 to 25, another 50-point move down. Remember, we did a 50-point up during the session. And what it did is it pushed through this 32, 34.50. And it got to the next stock zone, which was at 25 and a quarter. The low is 32.26. And what does it do? It turns around and makes a V bottom and comes right back. What do you see in this picture? What do you see in this picture that is kind of triggering a curiosity? Can anybody tell me? Unfortunately, there's a 15-second delay. I can't have 15 seconds of dead space. People will think that I'm cut off. But look at this. It's coming right back up. And we have nothing in terms of delta. The real volume, some of the real volume operated on the sell-off, and this has been left to drift up without much aggressor buying on the way back. This looks suspect to me based on that fact. The overnight inventory is mostly short, but participation on the buy side was very poor, was exceptionally poor, and it makes me suspicious. The way this looks to me is that it is very, very likely to visit that low once again. This is what appears to be the case, or what appears to be likely as the market opens, and that's what I'll be watching out for. I'm not sure. The U.S. reported 91,248 coronavirus cases on Thursday, the highest single-day increase since the pandemic started. That started to trigger off a little bit of selling, but that came in earlier. And I'm not really sure what is going on with that drop, other than the fact that Germany reported 18,681, which is really high relative to the population, and we saw the markets drop, and of course we saw the European stocks respond as well. So that's where we stand. That's a long, big recap, but it was needed. I'm not going to show the order flow yet again. It eats up too much of the bandwidth. However, I'm going to show you an image of what the recent order flow has been looking like, and it is not. It is definitely not endearing. It's not something that I would want to be using to lean on during the session. So this is a screenshot from about maybe 20 minutes ago, and what we have. Hang on, this is not live, and what we have is just a scattering. Look at these, a scattering of these bids and offers, and a book that is very, very irregular in my opinion. It is just drifting and shifting all over the place. There's not much I can glean from the order flow, and so I'm not going to focus on it, at least pre-market. I mean, I'm still using it for trading live, but the order flow, the heat map overnight's not giving us much in terms of clues. I'm going to say again, this event on Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern in the evening till midnight. The link for it is ft71.com/2020 election. We'll have a bunch of guests on. We'll be trading live and checking out the market and the moves. Remember, in 2016, we got three limit down moves. And then the market actually was unchanged by the time we opened. Let's take a look at what's expected for today. Today we had broken down. So yesterday's close was at 93.50. Okay, so 93.50. The close was way up here. Right here, 93.50. So the overnight inventory is 100% short. We have had this V bottom that I just talked about. The overnight point of control is lower and holding steady at 70. Some 70. What is the overnight? It's 32.70, and we are holding at the overnight. We have VWAP and the mid below us, the point of control below us. This sets us up for all kinds of potential moves. The most likely move is an open auction. We are opening inside of the prior day's range, open auction and range. I'm looking for this to respond to the upside, looking for a test of the 90.75, the prior close at 93, consolidation here with the point of control and everything in this area. And then I'm looking for this to fail actually and start to move down. I'm looking for the market to push down into this V bottom. I don't know if it can make it all the way, but overall it's looking quite bearish. Yesterday's action was engulfing, but it ended up finishing in the middle. So we didn't glean too much from yesterday's action, other than the fact that it attempted to push higher and came back into balance, and that's what's driving that downward draft or expectation or primary expectation for today, in that it's just the market has tested higher and is unable. We tested lower overnight with Delta not participating on the buy side, and so I'm expecting it to push lower. Again, the main target down below, the main test value down below is 34.50 right here. Okay, so that's the primary scenario. So I'm going to be suspicious of any rotations up unless I see some strong aggression by buyers and price following. As soon as price does not follow the buying, in other words, buyers are lifting and it's not moving up, you can see that on a footprint. Chart. You can see it in the order flow. You can see it on Bookmap. Then I would be looking for areas to lean against to get short. The main area to lean against is the close and yesterday's point of control. The secondary is an open auction that fades to the downside and starts making its way down into this 32.60 area. The full session mid and so on. I expect it to dip down in there, potentially testing the overnight low. However, I'm looking for it to come back and come into balance. This will be further balance, further consolidation, which would give us a lot of fuel for a Sunday night move into Monday, which then sets us up for the election. Okay, so we're opening inside of this day's range, basically, and we're opening inside of this day's range. Okay, these 2 days have overlapped each other. They've got a point of control at 93, an MC point of control, I believe it was 93. Yes, or 83. And this is where we are currently, and I'm expecting this to be a balanced-ish trade, but more skewed to the downside if we do get a move. Today's going to be all about order flow, just watching which side is able to pick to lift price and facilitate quick moves, either up or down, and that's the side that I want to be on. So look for either small zipper breakouts, look for pullbacks in the direction of the trend, that sort of thing, however you define trend. Got it? Got it? Good. All right. I'll leave you with that. I want to remind you again about the election event. Would love to have you there. Some cool guests coming on. And we'll talk soon. Have a great weekend. It's Friday. Watch your risk. Do not commit too much to any trade today. Good luck.